But first, back to our top story tonight. Let's bring in Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Well, the president having a good night. And with small majorities, you know, Reagan famously said it. I know you're a Reagan historian scholar, that if you're 80% for us, you're not my enemy. The problem with people like Tom Massey and others like him is they're almost never with the president. And with slim majorities, you can't accomplish things if you don't work as a team.
Yeah, look, Sean, that's clearly right. If you vote no 100% of the time, that's a problem. If you vote with the Democrats almost 100% of the time, that's a problem. You know, we've got exceptionally slim majorities in the House and Senate. I will say in the past year, with President Trump in the White House, with a Republican Senate, with a Republican House, we have accomplished more in the past year than in any year since you and I have been alive. And I have no time for people that just say, no, 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 I don't want to do anything. The stakes are too high. We're not screwing around. This is not a game. If you want to just criticize everything, go write an op-ed online. Go write a blog online. But if you're going to take a congressional seat, if you're going to have a vote, particularly if we had a 250-vote majority in the House, fine, you could vote no, it doesn't matter. But with the excruciatingly narrow vote, we can't mess around with this. We've got to deliver real results. And the message that I had to my colleagues over and over again, the message, look, I've spent a decade as President Trump's strongest ally in the Senate. And I'm focused on working with the president to deliver real results. And if you're not focused on that, that's a real problem.
It is a real problem. I don't think the issues that will define the outcome of this midterm year have even happened yet. And by that, I mean, I think the Iran issue will be resolved. The president will prevent them from getting nuclear weapons. I think the ensuing lowering of the cost of energy, that will make the American people realize it was short-lived, and that'll give them confidence in the economy. I think all the president's committed investments, bringing back manufacturing to the country, I think that's going to have a big impact, creating high-paying career jobs at a level I've never seen, 10, 12, 18 billion, whatever, $1 trillion committed investment money in this country. What does that do for the economy on top of energy independence, on top of the largest tax cut in history?
Yeah. Look, I think that's absolutely right. We have a record of success to run on, cutting illegal border crossings 99%, dropping the murder rate 20%, dropping the drug overdose deaths 20%, passing the biggest tax cut in American history, passing no tax on tips, passing no tax on overtime, passing no tax on Social Security. Big, big victories, passing the biggest school choice program at the federal level in American history, passing the Trump accounts, a generational transformational program, both school choice and the Trump accounts. I authored both of those. Those are going to impact and benefit millions of kids. That is a record of success. And the Democrats, sadly, look, they've devolved into a party that believes in nothing but hate for Donald Trump. Orange man bad is the essence of the Democrat Party, and it is infuriating. You look at Graham Plattner. This guy is a self-described communist. I'm not calling him a communist. He says, I am a communist. And this is somebody who put a Nazi tattoo on his chest. Not just a Nazi tattoo. By the way, not just a swastika. A Totenkopf, which is the symbol of the SS. It was interesting listening to Mayor Frey talk about the SS. Well, gosh, you're supporting a guy, your whole party is supporting a guy who had an SS symbol. Do you know what that Totenkopf was that was on his chest? It's what the SS wore in the Nazi death camps, the concentration camps that were murdering 6 million Jews. And yet, Democrat after Democrat is traveling to Maine. Elizabeth Warren, Nazi communist, he's my guy. One after the other after the other. They're utter hypocrites. You know, Sean, you and I remember when Roy Moore was running for Senate in Alabama. And I and a number of others supported him early on, and then serious allegations came out against him of sexually abusing kids and coming on to kids. And a bunch of us pulled back and said, you know what? We actually have standards. We actually believe something. Name one Democrat in the House or Senate who said, listen, I'm a liberal. I like high taxes. I'm for open borders. I'm for all that. But I don't support a Nazi. There is literally not a single one who said a Nazi communist is too much for me. For them, it is all about power. And is there any decency? Is there any soul? Actually, that's not fair. John Fetterman is the lone Democrat who has said enough is enough. Is there anybody else? I don't think there is.
I can't name one, Senator. This is a party run by radical, hard leftists, a squad, AOC, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth
And it's
Warren.
power, power, power. It's all they care about.
And what's worse is nobody will stand up to them. Chucky Schumer wouldn't dare. Hakeem Jeffries wouldn't dare. Their vile rhetoric will come back to bite them. They have no agenda that will appeal to the middle of this country. I'll tell you that. Senator Ted Cruz, thank you for being with us. All right, thanks for watching. Check out my new podcast, Hanging Out with me, Sean Hannity. The big interviews, the debates you won't get anywhere else. Like and subscribe for new episodes every Tuesday and Thursday.